Addison's apotheosis into the Hollow Man happened in his home laboratory.
Hey everybody, this is Eric Schweitzer from the Gamer.com editorial team, and I'm here with Features Lead Jade King to talk about Redfall. Jade, I went to play Redfall. I played about 2 or 3 hours of it last week, and I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Was it red?
It was red. It was fall. Listen, I was pretty nervous about this one, to be honest. Before I played it, I'm a big Arkane guy. I'm an Arkane head. And this didn't really feel or look or seem like all the things I like about Arkane games.
No.
You know, like I like the exploration, the sim, the immersive sim qualities of games like Prey and Dishonored. I like the idea that there's like multiple paths to get to the same objective, and you've got a lot of player choice about how you like pursue your goals, and lots of different play styles and that kind of stuff. And this seemed, to be honest, this seemed kind of generic. It was like a co-op open world. They were comparing it to Far Cry. Yeah, kind of Left 4 Dead too. Like way more of a shooter than their other games. And I was nervous. But after I played it, it definitely is an Arkane game. I think that was my big takeaway from the demo was like, okay, this is like, yes, it is like a co-op open world dealio, but it definitely has that Arkane DNA. A lot of that comes from the different playable characters and their like kits and play styles. The character I played was like a stealthy sniper assassin type, and the way that I approached situations with him was totally different than the way you would do it with other characters. And I think the co-op aspect of it is going to make for some pretty interesting emergent type gameplay stuff. Okay, so I want to jump to the first like main mission that I played, and basically you're trying to get into this house, which is like a lab, and like find some clues that moves the story along. But you have a lot of different ways that you can approach this house and figure out how to get in. Here you're going to see just sort of the go loud approach of like taking out the snipers and then working on this like mini boss that gets alerted. There's some familiar kind of stuff if you have played. I think it's a lot like Dying Light in some ways, like that Watcher thing that you saw pop up there. Once you cause enough chaos, this like mini boss will get summoned that you'll have to deal with. That's like a Dying Light thing, but this is a mini boss too, and all the vampires in the game have to be killed using special techniques. Just shooting them isn't enough, because they'll just kind of get stunned, and then you have to use some other method to kill them. So that could be like this gun that has a stake on the end, or it could be like that flare gun that burns them up, like that. Yeah, there's quite a few. The character I played also has a crow that you can throw at people, and the crow can stake them from range. So you always have to have, you can equip 3 weapons at a time, and you always have to have some way of actually like staking or burning up the vampires. One of the coolest ones is this big UV light that turns them to stone, and then you can shatter them.
That's very cool.
That one I like a lot. The character we're watching right now is kind of like the gadget guy. So he has, you just saw the translocator that he can throw anywhere and then teleport to it, kind of like Sombra. But yeah, he used it to jump straight to the second story of this house. And then you spend a long time in this house just sort of exploring and looking for clues. Which once you get into these kinds of spaces, it has more of like a Dishonored, like you can be stealthier. The spaces feel a lot more handcrafted, like and intentional, like a Dishonored level.
So a lot of items and like resources you can read or pick up.
Yeah, a lot of lore stuff to pick up, a lot of like maze-like structures and different ways to get around one place. Here you've you're supposed to find these 3 dolls and bring them back to the dollhouse, and then when you do, it teleports you into the dollhouse, which is like it's like a memory, and then you're exploring
Okay,
this
so
little
you play
girl's
through the
memory.
doll's house.
Yeah, and then you play through the doll's house. Yeah. So some pretty clever ideas here, and then the way that they use the different enemy types, like these vampires being like scouts or like turrets up on the roofs or whatever, is kind of interesting. I wasn't super impressed with the AI overall. The vampires are very like they flit around and they teleport behind you and stuff, and they are kind of fun to fight. But I didn't feel like they were all that smart.
They just kind of rush you.
Yeah, they do kind of rush you, and then they'll like run away, and you don't really know what they're doing, and it feels like they're just kind of being random.
Okay.
The human enemies will just kind of rush you, but you'll see the humans and the vampires fight out in the overworld sometime, and that's kind of interesting. One thing I don't think we'll see in the footage here are the vampire nests, which are a really cool mechanic. Basically, they appear as like doors in the open world, and when you enter them, it's a procedurally generated like dreamscape world where they have tile sets of different locations. Like the one I went into was like part movie theater, and it was like part back alley, and it was all sort of mashed together in this like dreamlike nonsense way. And when you go into these nests, the vampires there are really strong, and you fight your way to the center where there's a big heart, and you destroy the heart, and then you have like 30 seconds or something before the nest collapses. And before it does, there's like treasure chests full of weapons and gear everywhere, and you try to loot as much as you can before the nest collapses. And so those just sort of like randomly pop out around in the overworld. And they have an area around them, and anything in that area is stronger, and that area expands over time. So the longer you ignore a nest, the stronger all the enemies in that area get, and the bigger the area gets. So that's kind of, I thought that was a cool way to do like sort of a checklist map marker thing in an open world game to actually give it a little more weight. It for an open world game, it felt pretty light on busy work. It didn't give me that like Spider-Man find all the backpacks vibe. It felt like there was a lot of side quests, and there was safe houses, like Dying Light style safe houses that you can clear out that gives you like spawn points. But it didn't feel like the map was just filled with inane stuff to do just to get through it.
There is like a big loot system though. I'm wondering if do you think that's factored in well to like the arcaneness of it all, like the open world quests, the loot, and character progression? Do you think that blends well with what this is? Because didn't you only play like a single player portion? You didn't see the multiplayer.
Yeah, I only played single player. It's hard to say with the loot because that is a big departure from Arkane's style of games. But I think that they recognize that, in like Prey and especially Deathloop, that the gunplay was criticized a lot. And
like Deathloop was close to being like really solid.
Yeah, but it felt a little stiff. Still felt a little stiff.
I just kick everyone, and that's how I did it.
The kick was good. Yeah. This one, they really wanted to like perfect the gunplay, and I think that it's pretty good. The weapons have a good kick and a good sound, and they feel fun to shoot. They feel precise, but they all have a lot of variance between the different weapons, and because you can have 3 equipped at a time, it feels like you can be a lot pretty strategic about like what you equip. You can have like your long range, and you can have your one that kills vampires versus your one that's better for killing humans, or like the one that takes the expensive heavy ammo. This is that mini boss that I mentioned earlier. Once you kill enough vampires, it's automatically gonna summon this big feller, and then you kind of have this like arena boss fight. He's called the Rook.
Oh, big lad. Oh yeah, he's big.
Yeah, he's a big lad. So yeah, so depending on which character you play is gonna have a big impact on how you take fights like this. One character has like a drone, a little robot that can draw aggro. This character can teleport around. One character can turn invisible. One character has they're all this called like vampire ex-boyfriend, and they can summon their own vampire to come help them fight.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the character that I played in mine, and his like ultimate is this like lock-on sniper rifle you can use to just wipe everyone out.
Like targeting the mark and execute in that, not the conviction.
Yeah, exactly. And he's also got the crow, which does recon. It like marks everyone. It can also be used to take out vampires. Yeah, so we're seeing the same part of the mission, but now as a character that is invisible, so you can see like the different ways that you can approach missions with different characters. So maybe that's good replay value for people, but I think it also is going to help make the multiplayer more interesting.
Do you see this like standing on its own as a single player game, or to get the best out of it, you lean on the multiplayer?
I think it seems like it could definitely go either way. I prefer co-op games most of the time, and I think it will be cool to sort of like discover things with my friends and see how like silly it gets with all of our combined powers. But as playing it single player, it felt like I was approaching every situation and trying to decide more tactily how to handle, like this is a good example here, like sneaking around on a rooftop and scoping it out with the bird to see where dudes are. This is kind of just going through what each character can do, summoning your vampire ex-boyfriend to help you fight people.
Such a fun boy. You're right though, it's kind of like Far Cry, where you play that on your own, and you can kind of like take each outpost or each objective as like a tactical, isolated experience. But the second you like call a friend into that game, it can like deteriorate into complete nonsense. That looks
right.
Like Redfall seems like it could pull that tactical stuff off in a co-op setting, as opposed to it almost falling apart when you have all of one person, especially with all the abilities and stuff. There seems to be a good amount of variety here.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
the elevator thing is really cool, and they can also do like energy shields. I like the characters. I really wasn't getting along with the writing. It was very
memey, very
yep, really memey. It was like camp, but not in a self-aware way. So I guess not. That's not camp at all. That's just cringe. But the gunplay feels good. The world is really cool to explore. It's super creepy. I love vampire stuff. Like I love staking dudes. And here's the little robot companion you can use to like draw aggro on guys and sneak up behind them and stuff.
Get that morph head. Gonna get him.
Zap. And it's cool to have such a unique variety of weapons. Like you've got stake launchers and like the UV gun that I mentioned before, and just sort of really inventive weapons. I don't know. It's not. If it was up to me, they would just make another Prey.
Me too.
They would just keep doing Dishonored and Prey forever. But I know that this is a more like marketable, more popular type of game, and it definitely still feels like it's got that Arkane stink on it. So I am way more hopeful now than before I played it. I will say that. That's it for Redfall. Thank you so much for watching. You can check out the full preview on the website. Link down in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and visit us at thegamer.com. That's the gamer, no space.